Thanks for joining us once again for the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
She's got the book full of information here. We've got a lot to talk about. Actually, it was a rather short meeting, about 42 minutes, and the first half of it dedicated to the police department, which we'll get to. A lot of activities coming up at the city as summer is upon us, so stay tuned for that information a little later. So back to the meeting on the 6th, one item pulled from the consent agenda, and this has to do with police promotion of a sergeant with a nice background in the city. Tell us more.
Yeah, Councilmember Leith pulled this to recognize Keith Stewart. He's had 19 years of service here with the Maple Grove Police Department, and he's being promoted to a sergeant. So we're really grateful for Keith's service and his willingness to step up into a leadership role there. Keith also has been a K-9 officer with us with Kalo for the last. Kalo went into service in 2018, so Kalo's been in service for about 5 years. Kalo's going to Keith's going to do kind of double duty on that for a bit. We anticipate Kalo staying in service for maybe about another year, and then we'll transition him out and move on with a new K-9. But yeah, Keith being promoted to sergeant, and we're really happy for his promotion and joining the leadership team. Congratulations
to him. From a longtime officer to a brand new officer. There was an oath of office for a new officer. Name is Grant Prom. Tell us more about the family coming up for the photos as well. A nice event.
Yeah, so we had Officer Grant Prom's family with us to have his swearing in. He's completed his FTO program about the middle of May, so has been on solo patrol here for about 3 weeks. Grant comes to us with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from the University of Northwestern in St. Paul, and then he did his law enforcement skills program at Hennepin Tech. And then prior to serving with us, he was a community service officer in the city of Prior Lake. So really grateful for Grant joining the team at Maple Grove PD, and nice to have his family with us for his oath of office.
Welcome to Grant. Third item related to the police was the Police Department's Service Awards presentation. I understand this is an annual event. There were a lot of awards given away recently.
Yes.
But a couple wanted to come to the council to give a little more attention. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is in response to an event that had happened on October 31st, 2021, middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, a house fire. We had a couple of individuals that were trapped on the second story. There was active fire on the first floor of the house. One individual who had some mobility limitations was out on a deck and kind of trapped there and needing help to escape kind of the smoke and fire. And our officers went into quick action and pulled a squad up next to the deck, and a couple of the officers were able to work with the fire department and get that individual lifted down onto the roof of the squad and eventually down to safety. And so pretty remarkable quick action of our officers on that scene in the middle of the night, and very traumatic situation for this family with this house fire. So grateful to be able to recognize Sergeant Brad Holzerland and Officer Zachary Hansen for the Police Department Medal of Honor. They were kind of the two officers that were involved directly on the deck. And then also the Medal of Valor for Officers Tom Stoley, Ryan Kane, Jacob Hatzenbeller, Dominic Bauta, and Community Service Officer Cole Ranch, and they got the Medal of Commendation from the Police Department. So lots of grateful families that were there, and certainly the residents that were helped that evening of that house fire. So congratulations to those officers.
Definitely. Moving ahead, one public hearing at the meeting on the 6th, and this is continuation of the Westin Commons area. This is the second edition. What part of the process are we in here, and where is this?
Yeah, so this is up off 105th, kind of associated with the Northwoods Church development. If you might recall, there was a first phase of this, some townhomes north of Northwoods Church. This is the second phase of that. That'll be just to the west of that. So deals with the public improvements associated with that. If you're up in that neck of the woods right now, a lot of construction going on, extending utilities and making those road improvements to that section of 105th. So this will just continue on that work.
All right. Community and Economic Development, one item here. Interim ordinance establishing a moratorium with the city on new rental license applications. Need a little explanation here as well of what actually this works with. And again, give us some background of why this is coming to be.
Yeah, so this is an interim ordinance that establishes a 1-year moratorium, and it's really focused on rental license applications for single-family homes, townhomes, and other direct entry residences.
Okay.
So this was an item item that was discussed during our council staff planning session in February. We spent quite a bit of time talking about rental licensing, just the growth of the number of rental licenses in Maple Grove. As you might recall, a couple of years ago, we had done a moratorium on apartments just to try to get a handle on where the market was, where we, had we kind of saturated the market with units, that kind of a thing. And so that was good work done. We did a housing study at that time and kind of learned where we sat in the market, and did see that drive or that energy around building new apartments slow a bit, which I think is good. It reconciled with the market. This is really focused on those new rental licenses, and I think the kind of the two things we're hoping to resolve or to study during this time is how we do our rental licensing program. This has really increased the workload. We have one rental housing inspector today. Right. How we're doing those rental inspections, I think there's opportunities for us to restructure things with fire department building inspectors, and then our code enforcement efforts, our rental licensing efforts, just to see if we can't cover more of that with the various staff and specialties that we have in-house. So really looking at that staffing, how the fee structure for our rental licenses, and then also taking a look at kind of the impact on home ownership opportunities. So I think this drive for new rental licenses in the single-family townhome market kind of is taking away some home ownership opportunities at more that entry level in the market. So we're seeing kind of two sides of that, either corporate buy-up of those homes that are kind of in that 300, sub 300 market, right, as well as developers coming forward and building, wholesale rental neighborhoods that previously would have been home ownership opportunities at maybe a lower market price. So year-long moratorium, this can be ended early if we complete our study work and present our plans to the council and move forward. But at this point, kind of a year moratorium. Anything that's been in motion will be allowed to proceed. Sure. Existing rental licenses, no impact there. But we're really looking to just kind of call a timeout and really take a look at how we're doing that and what the impact to home ownership has been. And certainly not something that's isolated to Maple Grove. I'm sure you have other neighboring communities and communities across the metro that are doing the same thing or talking about the same things, and you'll probably have some discussions during the moratorium with them, I would guess. Is that correct? Yeah, I think we're certainly seeing other suburbs experience, the same issues, whether it's the corporate buy-up or developers building more rental communities, and what, how cities are staffed up to respond to that. So I do think we are seeing that as a trend in the metro area, and I do suspect others will be interested in kind of what the work is that we're going to be doing here. Good opportunity to share information. Next is a report on some things coming up in community and economic development, and the Planning Commission is coming up. Looks like they have a busy agenda. What's on it? Yeah, June 13th will be a long Planning Commission meeting. You might recall we had an affordable senior housing project up by kind of BioLife up behind Menards there. They had applied for state funding through the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency, and they didn't receive the funding in this last round in January, but it looks like they're teed up to receive funding in July. Okay. And so they're going to be coming forward and hopefully get that project moving if that funding comes through. We have a multi-tenant dental office up at the Grove, kind of the last lot to be developed in that kind of that center retail area, the northwest edge of that, next to the hospital. Multi-tenant dental office there, and then we also have the Rush Hollow project, which is a Pulte project up off of Territorial Road, County Road 81 area. This is a pretty big subdivision, about 500 units in the initial phases, and so lots of discussion I expect from the Planning Commission and Council on this one. At the same time, we'll be bringing forward the Territorial Road Master Plan. So this really provided kind of that planning structure for that area about where the parks would be and how the road alignment would work and how the densities would work up there. And so Pulte really took heed of that and kind of followed that master plan. And so these will kind of come together at the same time. So we'll see if that gets its review at Planning Commission or has to take a couple meetings there. But that's a pretty big project to take a look at, and lots of transportation impacts. The Maple Grove Parkway extension will need to be dealt with for that project, and so lots of things to consider here. All right, number of things in the pipeline. Speaking of things happening, how about business openings? You have
few new businesses to town. What's the mix of things we can now go see?
Yeah, so we were sad that Dunn Brothers, they're on the corner of Main Street, right across from the Government Center, closed. But we have a new coffee shop that's going to be opening in the next few days called Kingdom Coffee. So kind of a private or a small, business owner, independent type coffee shop. So that'll be a nice addition to Main Street.
Sure.
We have another Nautical Bowls up at the Grove. There's one off, of course, on Wedgwood there, closer to the Government Center. But this is another one of those businesses up there in the Grove. Hometown Pizza, which is just across the street from Nautical Groves. They took over the Rossetti's Pizza space, and they had a ribbon cutting in the past couple weeks here. And then the Good Clinic on Main Street. We celebrated a ribbon cutting with them in the recent week as well.
And one other note passed along related to businesses, the Hyvee convenience store. So tell us about that, where that is projected for, and it is still projected to be there.
Yeah, so they have approvals for a Hyvee Fast and Fresh, kind of at that southeast corner of the Village area, so the fourth corner of Arbor Lakes there, kind of just to the east of that existing kind of inline downtown retail type buildings there. When we learned that Hyvee wasn't going to proceed with the north store up by Target, we had inquired with them about this part of their current projects in Maple Grove, and they indicated that they intend to move forward with it. So we're hoping to see Hyvee come in with that here. I don't know if it'll be this year, but hopefully in the coming months.
All right, let's look to Public Works. A few updates at the meeting from Public Works and Engineering. A lot of construction going on the roads around town. Let's begin with the Fountains area. How's that project coming?
Yeah, so they're moving pretty quick here. It's going to be done in the month of June, and I know it's been pretty impactful over there. I think everybody wants to get into that Costco gas station to save some money on gas right now, which is understandable, but it's just putting a lot of volume out there. So that project's moving pretty quick and looks like it'll be done in the month of June. So just watch for those lane restrictions. Maybe think about going to the east end there past Southern Bank and coming in on that side. That's kind of a nice trick to get into that side.
Sounds like you've tried it a time or two.
Yeah, that's my path.
It works.
Yeah, it works. And then the other piece, Main Street, of course, is under construction, and they do anticipate finishing phase 1, kind of the east side of the southern block there next to Buco de Pepa, and get that finished up before Chalk Fest, and then kind of pull back, let Chalk Fest proceed as normal, and they'll get back underway with that. And that project will probably take us right into the fall.
All right. Speaking of Chalk Fest, just a quick note on that. Saturday and Sunday, June 11th and 12th, 10 to 5 both days. Again, art on the street, right? So they've been out there busy. I know we did a preview story here at CCX Media about some of the initial work there. So fun event for everyone to go see. Amazing art.
Yeah, it is a great event every year. And looking ahead, in past years it's been, 95 degrees and I mean, very hot out there on the street for these artists. I think this Saturday and Sunday is looking pretty moderate in the weather. So I think it'll be a great weekend for that. It is on Main Street from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. both days. It also includes entertainment, some food trucks, and a lot of things for families. For parking, I think, always feel free to use the Government Center parking lot. Big parking lot that's sitting there on Saturdays and Sundays, and it's a quick walk over there. You don't have to kind of worry about how to weave in and out of behind the buildings on Main Street. So
good idea.
Lots of opportunity to get out and see the chalk art this weekend.
All right, let's talk a little bit about cleaning up around home. A couple events occurred recently. That was the cleanup days, and I understand big success. Lots of various things dropped off and picked up.
Yeah, so Ken reported that 67 major appliances were dropped off and over 7,100 pounds of scrap metal.
Wow.
So that's a lot of cleaning up in town.
All right, so that was taken care of. The other part is yard waste. A lot of information out about other communities dealing with yard waste. What's the situation in Maple Grove?
Yeah, so we've heard that Waste Management, one of our larger garbage haulers, is no longer picking up yard waste curbside, and I think it's generally due to staffing shortages. So they're just having to prioritize, garbage service. So just a reminder, we do have the yard waste site in Maple Grove, free to Maple Grove residents, pretty extended hours. So if you are one of those folks that has previously, contracted for that yard waste pickup at the curbside, know that that yard waste site is there for you in Maple Grove as well.
Couple notes about sewer lining. So some progress being made and one with a little bit of a problem. Tell us about both of those sewer lining projects.
Yeah, so we do have a big big project coming out near Bass Lake, on Bass Lake Road. It's a Met Council sewer lining project, but we are dealing with a neighborhood project near kind of Fish Lake Road area where we've had a collapse in a lining project and impacting, I think, about 8 or 9 homes in that area. But when the sewer doesn't work, that's pretty impactful. So folks being shuttled off to hotels, that kind of a thing. So we're hoping to get that issue resolved quite quickly.
All right. Final note from engineering is talk about some noise walls. Tell us about this process that's going on. Sounds like it's going to be extended a little further. Yeah,
so we had been in front of the council to talk about the noise walls along the 610 corridor in recent weeks. And there's a process where residents have an opportunity to vote on whether the walls should go in or not. They've been working with the neighborhoods out there, a lot of them townhome type neighborhoods, and they've had a few meetings. They need to get 50% of the residents voting in that area in order to move on and decide whether the wall goes in or not. We haven't quite been able to meet that threshold. So they'll do another round of voting, and then if they still don't meet it, then there's a process to move on to getting 25% of the residents in there to vote. So more process to come on those 610 noise walls, kind of out on the County Road 30 end of that project.
Got it. Final notes from the meeting on the 6th. You had a couple updates. It sounds like June 20th, a busy day for the council. What's on the agenda for a work session?
Yeah, so we have a few more work session topics that we want to get through with the council here in June. Recent actions, we authorized doing a compensation and classification study for city staff, just to take a look at our classification system and our compensation system and update to the market. That was something that was identified in recent years of needing to look at where we're situated in the market for salaries. Also reviewing a draft remote work policy. That was something that was discussed as part of our 2022 planning session as kind of responding to the needs of the changing workforce. And then we're also going to be reviewing the local option sales tax ballot language for the November election. So full work session agenda on the 20th.
Sounds like it. And final note from the meeting was a preview of Maple Grove Days. That's coming up July 13th through the 17th. Lots of fun going on. Where are some of the key hubs and where can people find more information?
Yeah, so the parade July 14th, so the council participates in that, so that's always a fun evening in Maple Grove up off of 89th. Big festivities, of course, at the community center on that Saturday of Maple Grove Days with the fireworks capping off that evening, live music throughout the day, those kinds of things. So Maple Grove Days has a website. If you just Google that, you'll get all that information there.
Yeah, big event in the city. Hope you can get out and enjoy some of those events. So that's your recap of the meeting from the 6th. Now quickly to some items that are happening in the city. The first deals with the fire department. It is recruitment season and there's some dates coming up people might want to be aware of.
Yeah, it's part of our annual process for recruiting paid-on-call firefighters and looking for citizens who wish to serve the community. We do have some informational meetings coming up on Monday, June 13th in the evening at 7 o'clock, Thursday, June 23rd at 7 o'clock, and Monday, July 11th at 7 o'clock. Those are located at our fire stations. You can go online and get that information from the fire department, Maple Grove, or mgfire.info for more details, or you can also give a call up to the government center and talk to somebody in the fire department, get that information. But all training is provided. We really try to make sure folks know, come as you are. You know, we don't expect folks to walk in the door having that training and preparation, that we're really willing to invest in folks and train, and then all we need is kind of a service-minded heart and a willingness to step forward and do that work. There is a 2-year training commitment potential applicants should consider before applying. And then you know, just an opportunity for a really rewarding service to the community. We do encourage folks to bring their family along to those informational meetings because, you know, lots of impacts to the family by being a paid-on-call firefighter, but also great benefits. Not only kind of that community service, but the Relief Association pension is, you know, it's a good deal. And we really, you know, not only is there pay for your time as you're serving, but also that opportunity to earn a pension and, you know, really a 20-year time frame. So
Right.
encourage folks to check it out.
Good.
And it will be, applications are accepted through July 17th, so we'll be moving through that hiring process here later in the summer.
mgfire.info again if you want to find out more about those dates and the process coming forward. Summer newsletter is out. What can we find inside and where do we find it?
Yeah, so that's available online through the city's website, and then you should have received one in your home. It gets mailed out to all residents and businesses.
Maple Grove Photo Contest is now underway. Chance to get your camera out and maybe have your photo in some publications. How does this process work?
Yeah, so this is our annual Maple Grove Moments Photography Contest, and it's online and very easy for residents to share their photos of everything that Maple Grove means to them. Entries are accepted through noon on July 12th, and it's all through a portal on our website, so no needing to print anything or run anything to the government center, all online digital photo submission. And we really do use these photos in all of our publications, whether it's our newsletter, our website, social media. We really do try to use those photos to reflect the beauty of Maple Grove. So we are looking for those submissions again through June 12th on the city's website.
All right, maplegrovemn.gov, and some of those photos even make their way to CCX Media that we use in some of the stories talking about great things in Maple Grove. So they make their way around. Community survey, let's talk about what was found from that survey as far as numbers of people participating. Fantastic. And then what's the next step of the process?
Yeah, so that survey collection wrapped up on May 20th. We did have 979 residents completing the random sample mail survey, which is really tremendous. We're really grateful for that. I think in our last survey we had somewhere around 500, so this is a really great turnout. And then we had about 891 responses through the open participation survey that was available on our website. So kind of two separate data sets that we'll be looking at. So this has just been a great response this year, and we're looking forward to getting those results. The plan is to present those results to the City Council at their July 18th City Council meeting. That would be part of the regular meeting, so folks could watch that online or on Channel 16 that evening, and looking forward to that on July 18th.
And we'll talk about it here as we get into the middle part of July. Get ready for some events for your calendar. Here's a few things coming up in June and beyond. The Juneteenth event. When and where is this, and what is it? Yeah,
so the Maple Grove Parks and Recreation Department is hosting a Juneteenth celebration on Sunday, June 19th. This is going to take place at Central Park, and there will be fitness opportunities, a vendor fair, music, and food.
Speaking of food, the farmers market is in full swing outside. How has it been going, and where can people find it on a regular basis?
Yeah, they've really been lucking out with the weather so far. I don't think we've had any torrential storms during the farmers market. But yeah, every Thursday from 3 to 7 over at the community center in the parking lot. Over 50 vendors. We've been very grateful to have a lot of our vendors continue to return even after COVID. So 2 special programs are offered at the farmers market. We have the Power of Produce Club for kids aged 4 to 12, and then also the Frequent Shopper program for adults. So really encourage people to stop by on Thursday afternoons.
Yeah, great place to have some fun. Speaking of fun, how about the Town Green? Their entertainment schedule is now ramping up, so we get into summer, and you can go about every day to the Town Green. What happens there?
Yeah, so and one addition this year, the Cross Community Players are holding their performances of Legally Blonde starting June 16th at the Bandshell. So I think you can go to the Cross Community Players website for tickets and information about that. But then starting June 27th, the musical performances kick off at Town Green. They are at 7 p.m. on Monday and Wednesday in the evenings. And then the kid family-friendly entertainment is on Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. And then the Friday night movies return July 15th, right in the middle of Maple Grove Days. So lots of fun kicking off at the Town Green in the next few weeks.
Definitely is. If your idea of fun is maybe getting in the water, there are some places to do that in Maple Grove. We maybe need a little more degrees on the temperature, but we're getting there. So where can we swim and get wet in Maple Grove?
Right. And remember last year it was in the high 90s,
exactly.
And it was like summer right away. Right. It was the opposite. So the community center pools are open. The Central Park splash pad, of course. Weaver Lake Beach is open, but just a note this year, no lifeguarding at that beach. We just have really struggled from a staffing perspective, so we've gone through some policy changes to allow that beach to function in that fashion. But check out the city website for hours at the pools before you head out.
Let's talk about the community center for a second. We mentioned some of the local option sales tax earlier within the meeting, but give us an update on, again, where we can find information and how things are evolving a little bit with this project.
Yeah, so growingtogethermaplegrove.org is the website for the community center renovation and expansion project. That website really is kind of a working document, continues to evolve as we receive questions or inquiries from the community. We really strive to include information to be responsive to those questions. A lot of times they'll show up when we do a social media post, and we do always strive to respond to those on those social media posts as well. But great project website, offers residents information about the plan for the project, its benefits and its cost, and how it's being proposed to be funded. Of note, I mentioned we're going to be reviewing that ballot language, but this ballot question will go on the November ballot and asking residents if they want to use a local option sales tax to fund that community center renovation and expansion project versus a project that might be on the tax levy. So lots of information out there on the website. We will be doing more communications here as we get into the late summer, heading into the election time. But if folks have questions on that website, there's a phone line you can call. There's an email address you can send information, send your questions to. And we do have staff that monitors that and gets back to people. So encourage people to get out and take a look at that information. Also now within the community center, there's some poster boards and things that provide some information about the project and where to go to get more information as well.
Excellent. Yep, a lot of information out there. Final page of our notes today. Let's talk about your lawns as you're spending more time outside, taking care of the lawn and doing things outside. First is watering restrictions, what the residents need to know.
Yeah, so after last year's drought, the city had heretofore not had watering restrictions in place. Many suburbs do. It's kind of a good stewardship model to have. So we did implement watering restrictions. So that's no watering between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. and then also kind of observing that odd even schedule. So if your house number ends in a even number, you can water on the even days, odd on the odd days. We do hear from folks about a lot of businesses that may not be adhering to the schedule, and we try to identify those that could go into like our C-Click Fix system if you're observing that, and we will go out and try to talk with those folks and make sure they're amending their sprinkling schedules, that kind of a thing. So this is just kind of a good conservation stewardship piece going forward and conserving water. I think what we noted during the drought, the other piece was just a really marked reduction in the use of water, and it was pretty significant. During the drought, it was more critical at that time because we were really struggling to keep up with kind of water levels and then the demand for sprinkling. So, in most communities where these are in place, I think the lawns look pretty good. And so I think with an every other day program, folks can keep up, their standard of how they want their lawn to look. But this really helps us with some conservation and stewardship of the city's water resources.
All right, so as wet as it's been, probably people out there mowing the lawn. What are some notes to remember about grass clippings, grass care?
Yeah, so a reminder for residents that city code limits the height of grass to a maximum of 8 inches, and also the requirement to remove noxious weeds. We do encourage people to use the C-Click Fix system if you have a complaint about grass length. And we do know, there was this no mow May thing. We didn't really formally participate in that, but now it's June, and we're seeing a lot of yards that just haven't been gotten to yet. And so we really encourage people to get out there and get those lawns mowed.
Very good. And final note, we talked about it earlier, but one more mention, great gem in the city is the Yardway site. Again, where's that located and how easy is it to use?
Yeah, just right off of 610 Maple Grove Parkway. Really easy access there off of Maple Grove Parkway. The site is open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then on Sundays from 11 to 7. Just need to bring your ID to show that you're a Maple Grove resident, and more information on mgyardwaste.com.
All right, well, we passed a lot along today, so hopefully you're full of information from the city. Heidi, thanks again for all of your time and all the information. Let's go with the website here, maplegrovemn.gov. Again, we mentioned a lot, so if you need to catch up on it or find some more information, go there. Next meeting is on June 20th, 7:30 at the Government Center. And again, phone number to the Government Center at the bottom of the screen. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.